45. Inside route. Ben, what a pivot. What a move. Beautiful work by Denzel Mims.
Second down. Play action to the end zone, looking for Mims. Mims and Jones, the two receivers in the game for Baylor. Looking towards Mims. Brewer wants a bunch. Left side. Got it! Low snap. Brewer throws it to Mims. Touchdown!
Right fake to Hasty. Brewer some pressure. He'll throw to Mims, who's by himself. Charlie Brewer stands tall in pocket, delivers a low ball. Start from their own 28. Here's Charlie Brewer with time. He'll take a shot down the field. Denzel Mims is there, and he's got it. What a throw and catch. And here up against this tough Iowa State defense. And there it is. It's Denzel Mims, and forward progress will be enough. Brewer to throw for it. Got a man in the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown! Denzel Mims for the score. Brewer with some pressure. Looking Mims. Caught it. Touchdown! Here's Brewer to throw. Caught.
Brewer looking to the outside again. Mims with a nice catch. Brewer comes out slinging, back shoulder, Mims. Brewer looking for Mims, gets a foot down, he's a yard short.
Brewer rolling out again to his right, throwing on the run, able to complete the pass, and it's to Denzel Mims for the first down. Brewer to the sideline, and it's caught. Denzel Mims, what an adjustment!
So, good evening and welcome along, everybody, to Season 1, Episode 49 of the UK Cowboys Fan Club podcast. Hope you're all doing well, and we hope you enjoyed that highlight reel of Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor University. Tonight, I'm joined by our two Scottish members. So, we have Paul and Graham. And we have the return of the man, the myth, the legend. That is Mr. Richard Jones from Wales. How are things, Rich?
Return of the Mac. How you doing?
All good. All good.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy, take care in the house.
See if we can drop some C-bombs later on in this thing. You know what I'm...
Oh, we do, and it's not the C-bomb from the previous shows. So before we go any further, we'd like to give a big shout out to our show sponsor, Mr. Barry Griffiths over at Cowboys Experience. Barry's come on board with us in the last couple of weeks to sponsor the show and to provide a great package for all the guys and girls who are heading out to Dallas. Paul, I know you've been out there a couple of times with Barry, so I'm sure you'll sing his praises.
Absolutely, I can't give Barry enough praise. He'll go beyond, make you feel like royalty, and he will make sure that you're well looked after. And not just that, what you get included in that, you get to meet some future Hall of Fame players like Drew Pearson and current Dallas Cowboys alumni, cheerleaders and current players. And it's just a great experience, and hence it's called Cowboys Experience.
Absolutely. So if anyone is planning on going over and is going to use Cowboys Experience, if you quote that you're a member of the UK Cowboys fan club, you'll Barry will make sure you're well looked after, and you might get a few extras thrown in from him, including extras in the package. So thanks to Barry and all the team out in Dallas for Cowboys experience. So we're just over 10 days out from the draft, and we're going to have a State of the Nation review. We've come through the final stages of free agency at this stage, so we're going to have a look at our roster as it exists and try and determine what our needs are, where we've improved over the free agency period, and what we need coming out of the free agency or out of the draft process. So we'll run down each of the position groups, and we'll try and give you some guidance as to what to look out for in the draft next week. So if we look at our quarterback positions, we have Dak obviously playing on the tag. We've Cooper Rush, and Clay Thorson is our third backup. So do we imagine any movement there? Do we think there might be a draft pick in that, or are we happy with what we have?
Potentially, I would definitely say undrafted for sure. But if we're going to get a quarterback, I see we've be the later rounds, much later rounds.
Yeah, we've too many holes or questionable starters and backups at the moment to go. I would say I would really like the first 3 rounds, maybe fourth. I think they would start considering fourth. If somebody's fallen, they might consider it there. But I mean, they weren't too convinced on Cooper Rush up until the final cut day. So I don't think they're particularly sold on him. So if somebody starts falling, but definitely, like Paul says, they'll bring somebody in. Somebody will go through the net, and he'll end up being the next Tony Romo, hopefully.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see anyone taken really, like you said, in the first 3-4. You're going to want to get some, basically, as much starting caliber stuff as you've got to plug as many of these holes as there still are. It feels really hypocritical to say don't go after someone decent for a third string QB when you're on the team that has Dak Prescott as your starting quarterback. But or even second string, like you said, they're not sold on Rush. I don't really want them spending any massive draft capital on a QB. Really, undrafted or someone that falls, I'd be relatively happy. But it's got to be someone good that would fall for me to be like, okay, that's worth it in the higher rounds. And I don't think that's really going to happen.
Yeah, like I'm looking at our over the cap here, and we can actually cut Cooper Rush, and it won't cost us anything in dead money.
Yeah.
So he's projected to pick up 2.1 million over the season. So he is expendable. So if quarterback falls into our lap, you could see them moving, but as you guys have said, there's no real need.
Yeah.
If we move on to the next position, then I think running back.
Just to touch on quarterback. The Raiders have just given Marcus Mariota a $17 million contract over 2 years. So backup QB is not to be sniffed at. I know John Gruden isn't particularly in love with who he has just now.
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. And certainly watching him through ESPN, I think he has a particular admiration for Mariota. So if Carr starts to wobble a little bit, you could see a competition in there. But it's like, I mean, when you've got Dak Prescott, you're not going to have a competition, especially with the roster cap room we have at the moment. So, I mean, we've been down on backup QB, but it's certainly don't sleep on it.
Yeah, just to add on top of that as well, it's like, I think I mentioned this before in one of the previous episodes, is Dak's not got competition to keep him on his toes, pretty much.
Yeah.
And when the coaching staff are not too keen on Cooper Rush, that kind of tends to say, we've not got someone to someone fight for Dak for that starting place, despite Dak's great and he's a great quarterback in my opinion. But there's just no one there to match up and bring the best out of him during practice. So I think that's something we might need to kind of look at as well, as we're getting maybe an undrafted quarterback who's got all in the world to prove to make a statement. So I want to be in this roster, so it could be something in the mungs of that.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So if we move on to our running back room, so we have we've Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, and Jordan Chun on the roster. I wouldn't imagine there's a need at running back. If we could pick up someone through free agency again, I'd say we'd be going the same boat. Yeah.
Running backs are, particularly backup running backs, are a dime a dozen.
And we are very fortunate to have a good backup running back.
Yeah. Like, for instance, just to give you for instance, Carlos Hyde doesn't have a job right now. That's
really
that's just what you Yep. That's just what you're dealing with. They are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'd get him in.
Carlos Hyde?
Yeah, I'd get him in just purely for exactly the same reasons previously, just for competition, even if it's just for a camp buddy.
Yeah. So moving on to our wide receiver room. So obviously we know our 1 and 2 are Cooper and Gallup, but outside of that, we're quite shallow in terms of depth. So obviously we've Cedric Wilson, Ventel Bryant, Devin Smith, Noah Brown, Tevin Jones, Rich's favourite, Mr. John Vay Johnson, and Lance Lenoir are depth. So I would imagine we might need to address the slot receiver position at some stage during the draft. Would that be the same for all of you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank God we got Cooper done.
Yeah.
Is all I'll say.
Yeah.
Like I was convinced he was gone. They pulled him back into the 11th hour, and thank God they did, because that is thin without Amari Cooper.
And not only just that as well, he actually took a lower offer to stay with us.
Yeah.
So well done to.
This is the year to do it. So if they can supplement it with a slot, or move Cooper inside the slot and go with a speed guy or possession receiver, the kind of field is wide open. But this is a good year, thankfully.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because Cooper can play slot and deep, run the deep routes. So we could either do both, where have a dual threat wide receiver, draft him maybe in the 3rd or 4th round or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely a position that we definitely need to consider looking at to fill the starting roles. Either like some of the guys are currently in the squad just now, like Devin Smith, who had a great game against Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was for Redskins week 2.
Second game or 3rd game of the season. He was absolutely, like, it looked legit, but after that, you've never really seen the night of day of him. So whatever happened. So, but we'll just need to see. But I definitely do think wide receiver is definitely a position we need to consider some point in the draft.
So, Rich, tell us about John Vay Johnson and how he's going to light up the preseason.
Step right. Right. What's this space? I'm gonna stay on this train until it either crashes and burns, or I'm proven right.
You're going all in on it.
But do you know what? Yeah. See, the first day of camp, if it ever does happen, they're going to walk into that wide receiver room and go, right, guys, we have a massive vacancy at 3rd. Who wants it?
Yeah.
So bring it on.
Yeah, I do think this is the biggest, not so much opportunity, but I think if I was to put money on when the most likely time is that they would have gone for a speed guy, it would be right now. Because you can play Cooper in, or maybe even a dual threat guy, but there's a lot of people who've been really, really, really wanting an out and out pure speed guy, just the fastest wide receiver that there is. Just get him. fast as possible. Just put him on the roster and just let him go. Just land him on the outside and just go. And I think this is quite potentially the year for it. So I would not be at all surprised.
Yeah. Like, I think for me, I've been on the Devin Smith train for well over a year. When we got him last year on that futures contract, I was delighted. I remember him playing for Ohio State on the same team as Zeke, and he was a bigger name than Zeke because he was breaking down field, deep balls, running onto everything, catching everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was delighted to see him signed up. So I think if we did decide to go with Cooper in the slot, then Smith would be your other guy on the outside. But I'm going to throw another name into the mix, and let's see what you all think of this.
Oh, here we go.
At training camp, we've not drafted a wide receiver. Would a certain Mr. Desmond Bryant come into your consideration?
Well, I don't see what harm it can do besides being Des, I suppose. But
that's kind of the main thing.
But as a player, he can still do a job. But he knows himself. He's actually said it on Twitter himself, saying, "Listen, I just want to play ball. I just want to win games. Like, I've made my money. I just want to win a Super Bowl." And he's like, by any means necessary, I'll do whatever it takes. So, and I can see Graham's like, no.
Yeah. Ideally, yeah, but Twitter's easy.
Yeah, That's true.
I think
you don't go from being the star-studded, highly paid 1,100-yard receiver to one of the guys. I'm sure we can all remember Jason Witten having to get in his face, telling him to calm down and be the number one guy.
Yeah.
To go from being that to being a guy, nah. If he wants to run down the checklist and be the workhorse, be the guy that comes in, because I doubt he's a 1,000-yard receiver anymore. He would have a team by now if he was a 1,000-yard receiver.
Well, you think about it, he won't be getting much reps because he knows himself. If he was to play for Dallas, he will be behind Cooper and behind Gallup. He will be at the very top as number 3.
Rich, take it home.
I think it's. I agree with Paul in that, like you said, he says he's made his money and he wants a Super Bowl and all the rest of it. Very admirable, but I don't think it would take long. Even if, say, he came, it was best case scenario, they got him, okay, it's really fairy tale. He comes in, he's really humble, he goes about it the right way, he manages himself right. I don't think it would take too long for him to fall into old ways, especially if he starts having success.
Yeah.
And that the old reasons for why they let him go start creeping back in. Those weren't good reasons, obviously. So I don't think it's one of those things that you don't want it to happen. You'd be surprised if it did, but you also wouldn't be surprised if it did, because at the end of the day, it is Jerry. But it's, I don't know. It could go either way, really. I mean, if they can't come out of this thing and they haven't taken a wide receiver or anyone that's really that great, and we're like, I don't know, 2 games into it, and it's like, what the hell? Just pull the trigger. What have you got to lose, sort of thing? Then okay, maybe. See how it goes, but I don't know. I'm really on the fence about it.
I'm going to paint you a scenario. I'll paint you a scenario, right? Week 15, we're down by 6 on the 10-yard line, and it's 3rd and goal. And they say to Des, "No, Des, sit down. We're going to go with a 2 tight end set on this one." Do you think he's going to be quiet?
He can't.
Well, he's going to have to.
He'll blow up.
Yeah.
Well, bear in mind, it's no longer Jason Garrett's show. So McCarthy might tell him that it's like, you know what? F off. Pretty much.
So Moving swiftly along to another position which is probably it's quite a sneaky need, is tight end. So obviously, Jason Witten left in the offseason to go to the Las Vegas Raiders, along with half of our free agents. I think that at last count it was 4 free agents went from Dallas to the Raiders. So our tight end room as it stands is Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz, Blake Bell, and Cole Hicatini. So, do you guys think that is a need, or are you happy to roll with what we have?
I wouldn't say it's a need in that we've paid Blake Jarwin, so they want him to be the guy. The only thing I would consider is a move tight end, just for your goal line, say for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think when they paid Jarwin, they made it pretty clear. Yeah, it'd be later rounds for me, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, the one I get is more or less like an extra offensive lineman, pretty much.
Yeah.
See, I think that was the idea behind signing Blake Bell, is that he's not a receiving tight end. He is your inline tight end that you can use in those two tight end heavy packages, that you can have that extra blocker there. So that was behind his signing. So any thoughts on it, Rich, or you're happy with what's there?
Exactly that. Like you said, they paid Blake. I've always been a bit of a fan of his. I'm very much content with sort of just winding him up, letting go, see what he produces. For a full season, if he can go a full season. But I would not be upset if there was an old school, like you said, in line, basically an extra blocker. I would not be upset with that at all, with the way the offensive line is going at the minute. I'd be happy with that. A receiving tight end, I mean, I wouldn't be upset with, but I wouldn't want them going that way early on.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate the timing of the contract worked out the way it did. Because you've got Jason Witten out the door. It's now Blake Jarwin's show. And if he doesn't show, it's a pretty big deal that he's $8 million a year.
It's an average
so
per
if he
year.
Doesn't show up, we're in a hole.
I think the guarantees on that though it was only about $9 million guaranteed money on it.
And that's the full
so I think
contract.
There is an out there, yeah. So it's
just
not a
in
huge.
terms of this season.
Yeah.
So if he's not there, they're not going to spend. They're not going to spend 8, 9, 10 in the next 6 months, for instance, on a different option. They're going to go with Jarwin.
It's right up there, really. They how many games did he have off last season?
Was it 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It was about 4 of the season, wasn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, for the main man, you really want him out there the whole time, don't you? I mean, that was.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a tough position. You're dealing with two things. You're getting hit by D-line and you're getting hit by linebackers and safeties. You're getting hit by all sorts.
Yeah, you're getting chipped everywhere.
Yep.
So, if we move along to the next position group, and I think we all are in agreement on this. This is an area that will need addressing potentially in the first, second, and third round. So we'll break it out into each of the components. So if we look at tackle, we've Tyron at left tackle, Lyell at right tackle, Mitch Hyatt covers both sides, and Brandon Knight can also cover. He played a couple of games at left tackle when Tyron was out last year. So I think looking at that, I think tackle is going to be an area of need. So
we could run a whole podcast on this department.
Yeah,
we could
absolutely
easily.
One just on left tackle.
Yeah.
The problem we've got is that we're sitting at 17, and you're not going to get a premium tackle at 17. You won't get a guard or a centre at 17 because there isn't one. I don't think there's one there might be one in the first round. Somebody might get desperate towards the end, and you've just lost a top 5 centre.
Yeah.
Good luck to Travis Frederick. We all know why. We all appreciate him. But we still need to go through the 2020 season. So it's gone from a strength to a huge question mark.
It just shows how good he was. Yep.
Yeah, not something Mike McCarthy needed in his first season, to be quite honest, because Frederick set the position, not the position, he set the assignments,
the whole line,
and so on, and he had Dak to work with, so continuity was key. Now, I'm not saying we don't have that in Joe Looney, we just don't have the skill set in Joe Looney.
Yeah.
When you say that, he's not as commanding, for sure. But I think all things considering what Joe Looney actually did for us the season before with Frederick out, he did do a stellar job. Now, he managed to get us into the playoffs. But like you said, though, Graham, there is some things that he doesn't have. And to me, that is the command of the line. Because I think naturally he is more of a guard, naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, we said a couple of weeks ago, we went to the playoffs with Joe Looney.
Yeah.
So it can be done. It's just, I didn't see a queue at the door looking to sign Joe Looney. That's the other thing.
No. Like if we take it just on the tackle spots, is tackle something we need to address?
Yes. Reason I'm saying that is because Tyron's not getting any fitter.
Yeah.
As he gets older, and by that, he's probably missing one more game per season. So I think when you look at the stats, he's tend to be missing 3 years ago it was one game a season. 2 years ago it was 2 games. This last season just there, I think he must have missed about 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
So it's a continuous cycle that's happening now.
Yep.
So and as much how good Tyron is, and we do need him on the team to keep him healthy, I still feel as though we need someone who can step in and still fill the void when he's not there. But I wouldn't draft him early on that.
I completely agree with Paul. Smith has become a 13-game-a-season player.
Yeah.
And you know that we're going to get Philadelphia in December. It just happens. It's going to happen. So it's a huge question mark. It really is. I mean, he's, like I've said before, he's turning into RoboCop with the amount of metal that he wears up and down his body.
Knee braces, arm braces.
Yeah. So but like I say, it's not going to be an option at 17. Not unless somebody falls, and tackles don't fall. They rise again.
Yeah.
So if we look one in from that, so obviously our starters are left and right guard are Connor Williams and Zach Martin. The depth behind those is Brandon Knight, Conor McGovern, and Cody Wickman. So would anyone consider a guard if one fell to us, or do you think we're okay with what we have?
I would say there's no harm in adding more. You need more O-line regardless, because there's always going to be someone falling out. You're never going to have your full O-line fit all season, regardless, because they are the pinnacle point of that offense. Ball always starts with the O-line, starts with the centre, always starts with them, not the quarterback. So I definitely think guard is definitely something we need to consider as well. Definitely more towards the left side. Because we do, like, especially if we're running the ball on the left side, we tend to kind of let our guard down. I just see what I just did there.
I mean, you could argue we're adding Conor McGovern.
Yeah.
You know? But
but he's more. Is he no more towards the right, or is he left?
McGovern is left, but we'll address him more in a second. But Rich, even before Travis Frederick announced his retirement, you were calling for an O-line man anyway. So, give us your thoughts on things.
Pretty much the same. If someone's there, someone falls, I personally would be clawing at the walls and finding it very, very hard to say no. Go back a couple of years, this was the dominant line in the league, and it's just been deteriorating ever since, purely because they focus on the other side of the team, which is just the way it goes. I mean, you've got to ride out your strength as long as it takes, or as long as you can. But this needed to be addressed, and we needed to have people to follow up in their shoes, like they've tried to do with Blake Jarwin following on from Witten. They've needed someone to try and do that, and it's very much just been a case of they've pulled in people to try and paper over the cracks, like you said. There hasn't really been any sort of successor in mind, or no one that's really worked out. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there, but I mean, I don't. Yeah, if someone's there, I'd find it very hard to say no and to say, do you know what? Yeah, that's not needed, because it definitely is, especially with this team. The really shit thing is that we are at 17, and you can't justify even now with this team, unless you just went absolutely all in. You cannot justify going up for a left tackle, which is the biggest need for me personally on the entire line. Well, along with probably the next thing we're going to talk about, but I've been wanting that for a long time.
I don't know about you guys. I'm seeing Andrew Thomas even rising draft boards.
Yeah,
you know, they're all going up. Nobody's found a crack or a hitch with any of them. They're all rising.
Like Becton, Thomas, I can't remember the other one, but all of them
are going to be... Willis.
Yeah, they're literally going to be drafting the first 12 picks.
Yeah.
Because the Giants, let's think about the other teams. Like the Giants need tackles. They're going to have to protect their new poster boy, Eli 2.0. I'm trying to think of who else. The Bucks, the Browns, Dolphins.
Yeah. I'd even make the case that the Redskins need a tackle. Like they're actively shopping Trent. Is it Trent Murphy or
Trent Williams?
Trent Williams, is their tackle. Yeah, that they're actively shopping him for 2 firsts. You know,
I would give the Redskins a pass in that they can't turn down Young. That's fair.
Stupid. That would be incredibly stupid in their half.
They want. I think they want a phone call. They want a phone call.
Yeah, and here's another thing. They would rather prefer to. If I was the Redskins, I would draft Young, because they know our position, or our O-line. Yeah. They know they can cause damage.
Yeah.
And same goes with the Eagles.
Yeah. They're already there. They've loaded again.
Yeah. So we've got 2 elite defensive lines. As much as I hate to say that, because they're our rivals, who I think they're absolute crocker. You know what?
We're very PC in this podcast.
I'm trying my best here. So I'm literally just thinking, it's like, more you think about it, the teams we're going to have to play against, especially in that division, it's like, we need to ensure that we help our O-line any way, shape or form.
Yeah. So let's move into the centre position. So our depth here is Joe Looney, Adam Redmond, Marcus Henry. And there is talk that Conor McGovern could be your starting centre. He played his last season at Penn State at centre. But some rumours I've been hearing today and seeing on Twitter is that we're considering trading down and taking Cesar Ruiz, who is the centre for Michigan. So
I would like to
clear it up for us
first. If somebody's willing to offer something stupid like a 1 next year and a 4 or 5 in total.
Yeah, like the only teams I could really see moving up is the teams that are really desperate need for wide receiver, because it's going to be a battle, because they'll have their preferences, who they want. We're in a prime position to offer that to someone, but who is more desperate?
Well, I've seen in some mock drafts that the 2 teams that we could potentially be, it could be a trading partner for us, are the Saints and the Patriots, who are both quarterback needy.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen the Patriots as well.
So if you drop to 23-24, I think it's more palatable for us to pick up an O-line man. Potentially a Cesar Ruiz or some of the second tier offensive tackles in terms of Josh Jackson and Graham. The other one has gone out of my head. Austin Jackson. Yeah. That you could potentially pick up something there and pick one of those guys, because you wouldn't then have to have that need for those guys to start.
But again, it's not the year to be bringing in a first round, putting them on the bench.
Wait till you hear this. There's been a new CBS mock draft just been put out 37 minutes ago. Right?
CBS are fun.
Yes, this is obscured. All right, so the Miami Dolphins trade up to number 1 to get Joe Burrow.
Right.
So, but anyway, as we move down. At number 16, the Dolphins trade again with the Falcons to get Tristan Wirfs at 16.
No, that's not happening. No way.
And we end up getting CJ Henderson from Florida.
Wirfs is already on the plane to his new city by the time 16 comes up.
Yeah. I'm just trying to see all the other teams that actually drafted their all offensive linemen. So the Bengals, Jedrick Willis Jr., Becton went to the Browns. Andrew Thomas went to the Buccaneers.
Yeah. But they're all teams looking, and who's the other team? The Panthers could potentially be looking for an offensive tackle as well.
Yes,
they're another one. So if we move over to the other side of the ball, and as Graham has told us repeatedly, Mike McCarthy is a defensive draft picker. I think
they make average players good and good players great on offense. The Packers have done it for years. Last offensive pick by the Packers was 2011. So they work with the offense and they supplement the defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen that through a lot of the off-season acquisitions in terms of Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, Alden Smith.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of firepower.
Two coaches. Yeah. They've all worked with the different coaches before, so they're known to the team. But
and not just that though, Brian. Every one of those players, Poe, McCoy, Alden Smith, they're low risk, high reward type of players.
Yeah.
Where they're at.
Yeah. So if we look at it in terms of defensive end, so we've DeMarcus, we've Randy Gregory, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyron Crawford, Alden Smith, Joe Jackson, and Jalen Jackson. Do we need a defensive end? Paul, you're the lineman. Tell us what we need.
I'm going to say yes, but if a stud player was there in our laps at 17, it'd be very hard for us not to say no. Like K-Ball and Jason.
Yeah.
Like if he was there at 17, it'd be very difficult for us to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we do need some way to take the pressure off DeMarcus Lawrence, because he was getting double teamed all year long.
Yeah.
And that's probably a lot down to the fact that, like, nothing against like Antoine Woods. He pretty much was working two jobs at once pretty much throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
And I hope it does sign back. I'm a big Antoine Woods fan. But when you've got more bigger sized defensive tackles that are more natural for that position, they are definitely going to attract more attention, and that's going to help our defensive line, both left end and the right end of the edge. So there's that as well. So we could go the end at 17, but I still feel those other needs are elsewhere across the board. So, but I don't know what are your guys' thoughts on it?
I'm going to say no.
Rich.
I wouldn't be upset. I mean, the big question mark at the minute is, are certain people going to be playing? because if they are, and we know before the draft which we're not gonna, then it makes it a lot easier to say, do you know what, we're gonna pass. Or for me, it is anyway. But I would not be upset if we went defensive end. But I do think generally there are other glaring needs on the defense, let alone the team, other than defensive end. As much as it would be nice to have another defensive end to take the pressure off of Tank. I don't think it's a massive need.
Go on, Graham.
I just think we've got too. I said no because I think we've got too many up in the air players.
Yeah.
If we were a fly on the wall, you can imagine in that Alden Smith interview, at some point it will have come up, are you guys going to draft a defensive end? And I doubt, I mean, obviously they weren't queuing up to sign Alden Smith, we all know that, but he's coming in to have a shot at somewhere. He's not coming in to be a guy. Randy Gregory is another question mark.
I was just about to talk about him as well.
Tyrone Crawford is coming back. Now I think he's on $8 million.
Yeah, he is.
And I think if they were going to cut Tyrone Crawford, they would have done it by now.
Yeah.
So they're kind of
they're very loyal to him.
Both
ways.
Yeah. They're kind of supplementing defensive end just now. Whether that's stocking up on camp guys, I don't know. But they've still got Gregory, they've still got Smith, and it would be tremendous if one of them would screw the nut and play 16 games. Can you imagine Randy Gregory coming in and get sacks for us?
Oh my goodness!
It would be colossal. And his agent, his D coach, even Jerry must be in this guy's ear going, look, can you behave yourself for 4 months and play for us? Can you imagine? It would be tremendous. See if we could rotate a defensive end. What a luxury.
Yeah. Like you said, there's a lot of question marks, and there's a couple of guys up in the air. If one of them lands, you're in a decent position. So for that reason alone, I don't draft someone there really. I go some other position, depending on obviously who's there when you draft. But the first round, you're gonna have a decent selection.
So, if we move to the interior, we've already kind of mentioned the names here. So we've Gerald McCoy and Dontario Poe should be starting, with Tristan Hill and Justin Hamilton as your backup. So, and we can also rotate in Tyrone Crawford into that mix if needs be. I don't think defensive tackle is going to be something we'd address in the first round, because I think the 2 tackles will be gone before we get to 17. But any thoughts on this one?
Second round, Neville Gallimore.
Yeah. Paul is still on the trade for Neville Gallimore.
If he's there in the second round, it'd be hard not to take him.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Yeah.
See if we take Gallimore in the second round, my windows are going to shake because I'll hear Paul. Greater Glasgow appear on the Richter scale because I'm going to hear him.
Yeah, Nicola Sturgeon and Boris Johnson think there's been a murder.
So we'll move into the linebacker core, and so obviously our weak side is Leighton with Jalen in the middle, and in the Sam position we have Sean Lee. They're backed up by Joe Thomas, Justin March, Luke Gifford, and Chris Covington. So, and I think a lot of the meetings which have been coming out, which Cowboys are showing, are linebacker meetings. So, is this a position that we might be looking at?
Yes, when you look at the depth we've got, we're quite short.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, we are quite short in defensive tackle as well, but linebacker, Like, don't get me wrong, like Joe Thomas, when he does play, like he's actually been all right. Same with Justin March. I'm glad we've managed to re-sign him. If we're going to have a full season of Sean Lee, is Van Der Esch going to be 100%? Is Jalen Smith pretty much going to run all three positions at once? You know, so it's definitely a lot of like you just mentioned, it's like we're seeing a lot of interviews with linebackers getting released through social media and stuff like that. And I would not be upset if we did draft another linebacker. Would not be upset because there is some good linebackers that are where we are at 17.
Yeah.
So if we do, great.
Yeah. Like I think it was a position that Broadus has tipped as well as being one to watch, because you're not gonna interview that many linebackers if it's not something you're seriously considering.
Yeah, like Brian Broadus is literally Jesus with the draft book. Honestly, he just knows everything. Honestly,
it strikes me along the same lines as offensive line, where you roll out day one and you're going, we've got Van Der Esch, we've got Smith, and we've got Sean Lee. Doesn't all look brilliant. By week 17, are they all still there? I doubt it. Especially Sean Lee. If we could find a mid-round guy, I doubt there's somebody in the first. Don't know about the second, but if we could get somebody mid-round just to throw into the mix, that would be helpful.
Yeah. Rich, I think I rudely interrupted you there before you got a chance to say something.
It's pretty much the same. I think last year everyone was really optimistic going into the season, including Brian Broadus. He was sort of driving that train, understandably so. Everyone was expecting it to be the best linebacking core in the league, and wasn't. Massive performed. I think Mike McCarthy especially will be really, really wanting someone in there. Be really happy to get someone in there to just to compete, put some serious competition in there, because the players that are in there, they are good. They can be really, really good. Like you said, they can make good players amazing. But the health concerns are there. They are very real. And I think having three good guys there, when one is really questionable, the other one you're looking quite questionable, I think you really need at least a fourth really good, strong guy there, so you can have, when you get to week 17,
just
really, it's not inhibiting the team functioning.
Just something to add on top of that as well. What is Mike McCarthy most notorious of really coaching really, really well? His linebackers.
Yeah.
Of all the years he's been at Green Bay, you would say what is the strongest part of his defense was his linebacker core. Whoever came in, filled the role, and always gave the almost support we're doing running blitzes and coverage. So just to kind of support the argument there. Whether we draft a linebacker, I don't know, but if we draft one, then great.
Blake Martinez now makes $10 million a year because of Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
There you go.
And what, they took him in the third round, wasn't it, Graham?
I mean, he was an absolute wizard with Clay Matthews. I know he was outside linebacker, but and I think the Packers are on a 3-4.
3-4, they do.
But if there was one position, linebacker would be up there in terms of the skill set, in terms of coaching.
What's the depth like at linebacker in this draft?
Quite well, actually. You've got, who's the linebacker from LSU? Because he's roughly
Patrick Queen.
Yeah, he's roughly going to go roughly about number 19, number 20, based on projections. So, but there are some linebackers that are like early 10s, 11, 12, 13, roughly, they can get picked. Whether they might fall down, it'd be quite hard not to like consider what, like, I don't know, I'm just thinking best player available at this stage now.
Yeah.
So, mean, if someone like I'm just trying to see this mock draft. Let me see. You've got likes of Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. No, he's more due to go further down actually. But you've got
Kenneth Murray is a name that's actually climbing on boards.
Yeah. But you've also got Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. You've also got let me see,
Zach Bond.
Yeah,
one. Patrick Queen. They're your top four: Simmons, Murray, Bond, and Queen. And I think apart from Simmons, we've interviewed with Murray, Bond, and Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the thinking behind that really is that we don't expect to have any chance of getting Simmons.
No, he'll be gone before 10.
Yeah, and then one of the other three. But there is a lot of talent further down in the sort of third and fourth round range in terms of Troy Dye, Akeem Davis, Logan Wilson, and Jacob Phillips are two names also to watch out for.
We mentioned Malik Harrison.
Malik Harrison is another one, yeah, absolutely. And then Joe Bauchi from Michigan State is someone who you probably get in the 5th or 6th round. You know, so there is depth there. There's we say, there's a lot of good players further down. You go. So, and I suppose it's also something for us to consider is the potential there that we're going to move towards a 3-4 defense, that we would need outside linebackers as well.
Yeah, it could potentially be that.
Yeah.
I think we're set at 4-3.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they've kept Tyron Crawford, I think because they've brought Poe and McCoy in for decent money.
Yeah.
And they've kept Crawford. I think we're set at 4-3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wouldn't stop us from actually switching it about depending on the scheme or depending on the type of offense that we're playing against.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's the one thing with the NFL today is you have to be able to play all.
Yeah, you have to be
systems.
more hybrid. Yeah.
You have to be able to play 3-4, nickel, dime. You know, you have to play all systems.
Yeah, because that's what I'm not using myself as a comparison, but we had to when I was playing for the Pirates, we had to try to switch from a 4 front to a 3 front, depending if it's like 3rd and 10 based on the scheme, based on the situation.
Yeah.
Like if it's going to be like 3rd and 15, you're more likely it's going to be a long pass, so you just put a 3 front and just get more coverage.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you think is likely to fall down late or even to the top of the second that you think they might trade up for at linebacker?
I think if one of those three names falls into the second round in terms of Murray, Bowen, or Queen, maybe they'd consider going up for that player. But our draft capital is so poor, it's going to cost us something when we have needs everywhere. Really, I can't see us trading up.
No, I think trading up's definitely out the equation in this scenario. I think we've got more to gain if we trade down. Because there's more teams in desperate, because with the type of draft there is, it's so wide receiver heavy, and I'm just looking at some of the mock drafts just now.
Yeah.
Let me just count how many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At least 8 wide receivers have been picked in that first round alone.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, is there a team willing to kind of move up a place to get a certain specific wide receiver that they really do like? That remains to be seen. And we do have a situation where the strong points that we really do need to address are not really something that is we're going to get the value of, because it might be a bit of a reach.
Yeah.
For example, but if we trade down, we might actually get it for much better value and we actually get more draft picks and less hitting the salary cap as well.
Just to back on what Paul said, I think that the second round is where you get the most value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not paying the top dollar in terms of salary, and somebody's bound to squeeze out the first round. So particularly the top end of the second, you might end up getting a starter for your second round pick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We need it. Really. Who would you target then? Because I think trading down, in fairness, is a very good idea. Like you said, especially with the depth of the draft. One of the only things I know about this whole thing is that, like you said, it is quite wide receiver heavy, and it isn't. I think trading down isn't a terrible idea, especially with all the needs we have. So, who would you target? What teams would you target specifically that have draft capital to burn this year? Because if we're going to trade down, really, it's to amend this team this year. So it's no good trading down for picks a year, 2-3 years from now. We need shit now. So who do you target?
The team that's right behind us at 17, with two further first round picks, are the Miami Dolphins. And I think we did discuss this previously.
We did, yes.
Miami are stupid enough that they will look to come up one position and give us something stupid.
Yeah.
So that there is a potential there for them to come up one spot for maybe an offensive tackle or a guard and give us a second rounder. Like, I think what they have is 7 picks in the first 2 rounds this year.
Yeah, but think about it as well. It's like, look at the other 3 teams just below them.
Yeah.
Raiders, they could do with a wide receiver. Jacksonville, they could do with a wide receiver. The Eagles definitely need a wide receiver because everyone's been injured pretty much.
Yeah.
So I can see out of those 4 teams, they could be a bit of a bidding war when it comes to our spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly where I was going with this, because, like Brian said, I agree exactly. You said it perfectly. Miami's dumb enough to do it. And when you've got other teams below them, you could get into a potential bidding war. That is rife territory for someone like Jerry. It's got to be the guy who would love to get in that sort of situation and play people off each other.
Jerry's that type of guy. He'll milk everything out.
Exactly. I think it's a very, very likely situation, if not the most certain thing to happen. In my opinion, and I would not be at all surprised if it's a one-spot move and we find out afterwards that he was just playing 3-4 teams off each other, or he put the shit of someone to say so-and-so, we're going to trade with them instead, so they're offering us this, but they're going to take this player that you really want, or are you just going to even match it? Just BS his way through it. I really think that.
Yeah.
I really.
Best example was what we mentioned previously before, was that the trade with San Francisco and the Chicago Bears for the quarterback Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
Like one place, and it cost them so many draft picks.
Yeah.
So fair play to the 49ers. They well played that so well.
Yeah. So if we move on, and I think this is where most people are predicting the actual pick to be cornerback.
Yeah.
As of right now, I can't actually name the starters at cornerback for next season.
Yeah.
Like obviously we've Cheeto, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, Morris Kennedy, Xavier Smith, and then there's 3 or 4 other guys there that are just depth guys. What do we need at cornerback? You know, I mean, they've talked about ball hawks and guys who can get the football.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need turnovers.
Yeah.
We need turnovers, and we need players that can tackle.
That is
tackle of the season.
Yeah, that was the thing I was most infuriated with our secondary. The most last season was our inability to tackle.
Yeah.
The amount of missed tackles, I try to remember what game it was. I think it might have been actually against New York, actually. The amount of missed tackles in Saquon was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like just not even dipping down to actually gain leverage to make the tackle. It was just using the arms, which is just getting dragged about.
Yeah.
They even used the actual body to make contact. So
there was no commitment. There's never any excuse for a missed tackle or a shit tackle. There's absolutely no excuse for it. We need people. I mean, we're not that far removed from really, in the grand scheme of things, from when Rod Marinelli had no-name defense going. It's just because everyone was making tackles, and the amount of missed tackles was way down there.
Yeah, it just felt like it was odd to see how things have completely flip-sided from the season before.
Yeah. Like, I think for me, what I found frustrating, and I was nearly screaming at the TV most weeks last season, was the amount of space that the cornerbacks were giving to the receivers. They were standing almost 5 to 8 yards deep at all times off the line of scrimmage. There was even in
first and 10, even in in a first and 10.
That anyone who's getting a yard of space like that is going to then get up ahead of steam, and you're ripe for a missed tackle because they can put a move on you. They can, or they have a bit of leverage that they'll just bowl over you. So for me, the one thing I'm looking forward to seeing this season is how the defensive backs actually play. Will they play closer to the line with more pressure? But I think cornerback is going to be very much in consideration for number 17, and I think there's a chance that there will be a lot of good cornerbacks available to us.
Yeah. There's C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
That's the one at the top of my head.
So you've Jeff Okudah, Christian Fulton,
A.J. Terrell.
Yeah, A.J. Terrell and Trayvon Diggs. Like I was reading somewhere on Twitter today that a lot of people are actually projecting that C.J. Henderson might be better than Jeff Okudah. I don't believe it myself. I think, as I said, Jeff Okudah is the second or third best player in this class.
Mm-hmm.
But there are projections that Henderson could be better.
The one thing we have going for us with all these tackles squeezing up into the top 12, 15 picks, somebody's going to squeeze out. They can only get so many selections.
Yeah.
So you might find that your second-rated corner, I think Okudah's the top one, but you might find that your second-rated is sitting pretty at 17 without even having to move. Because if you're not, you might go up for a tackle, and if you don't go up for a tackle, you might go up for the particular receiver that you like.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody jumping up for corner.
No.
No.
The thing is, though, we could easily again drop down and still get a good decent corner. I mean, there's Tevon Diggs for Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, there's talks about how he could even still go into the first round, but I can still see him being more likely to be in the second round still.
Mm-hmm. So if we flip it into the final position of safety, so we have 4 guys in our roster. So we've obviously Clinton Dix, who's on a 1-year contract, Xavier Woods, Donovan Wilson, and Darian Thompson, who are our depth guys. So I think this is a position that we all thought might be a need, but as the mock drafts have come out, it seems to be a position that's falling at all the time.
Before we go into this, Brian, before we go into this, is the wound still fresh?
Yes.
Oh.
Why did you have to do that?
It's still too fresh. It's hard for me to talk about it.
Sorry, Paul. I jumped in.
I don't even know what I was going to say now.
Go on, Rich.
No, let Paul go.
In terms of, initially when we were talking about drafts and stuff like that, initially when we talked about it, because we didn't know if Heath was still going to be with the Cowboys and stuff like that, it's like, is he going to be fully fit for a season? Well, it kind of like took the equation when he left. It's like, right, we do really need a safety in the draft. There's talks about McKinney, talking about, who's the other safety? There was
Delpit.
Yeah, Delpit. So there was talks about him as well. But with bringing in Clinton Dix, it has kind of covered the wind ever so slightly. But with that being a 1-year deal, it's definitely one of those situations where it's going to be show your worth, prove yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if Haha has a stellar of a year, well, we're going to have to, and we do want to keep him. He's probably what I'd ask for quite a lot.
Yeah.
So will this be something towards the next following season to maybe reconsider doing? Most probably, but yeah. In terms of going forward, I don't see us drafting a safety. Maybe pick up. Maybe if we were, it'd be definitely be in the later rounds. Again, undrafted perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think we're actually at an okay position at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say with safety, like Paul's saying, I think Clinton Dix is he's a plaster at the moment. It's not a long-term solution. If he wants to have, he will get paid. Somebody will pay him. I think that's the reason why he's signed the 1-year deal, because since it's almost as if it's like the McCarthy Clinton Dix reunion, to get him back on the horse type idea. But I would go as far as to say is they will draft, and in terms of corner safety, kind of backfield kind of conversation, I would say that they'll draft the top player on the board. So if it happens to be McKinney over, say he was over CJ Henderson, I think they might go safety if they rate him higher. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think McKinney would be maybe 4th or 5th on the choice. But if they do have him over, which I think would be a mistake, they would go safety, because it's not long term with Clinton Dix.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same. In all honesty, I would very much like someone as insurance, because I very much do think Haha's coming here to have a bit of a revival, have his good year, and then go off somewhere else and get paid. I don't think he's going to get paid here. It would be nice to draft someone to have as insurance, whether it be in the case of he does go, or to try and keep his price down to keep him if he does have a good year. Is that going to happen? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, like I'm just kind of looking at the safeties who are available, and I have a feeling there is going to be safety available to us at 51. And
easily.
If we don't have one of our needs in close proximity, I could see them taking a safety at 51. But that is only if we don't have a pressing need with a better player available to us. So I think we've given you a full representation of it. So I think kind of looking at what we've discussed tonight, I think corner and linebacker are probably our two biggest needs, because the offensive tackle that we need will probably not be available to us. Would that be a fair summation?
Yeah, I would say that's a fair estimation. Yeah, like if we were to, but there's obviously like the case of Santa that we've talked quite a lot about this of us trading down, so there's that potential as well.
Yeah.
It's a funny take, but think of the years in the group, particularly the UK Cowboys group. The amount of people that have been screaming for a safety. We need a safety. We need to sign a safety.
I know.
Not get a safety.
I'm one of them.
Please bring a safety in. And McKinney's sitting there at 17 and we don't take him.
Yeah.
But
I think
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think in this circumstance, I think it makes sense, because we do know what's got, like, we have addressed the issue to like we've put the plaster on it pretty much. That's probably the best way to describe it. But but we do have more higher needs. So, but you're absolutely right, Graham. Absolutely.
So I think we're going to wrap it up with that, folks. So before we go again, we'd like to shout out to Barry and the guys at Cowboys Experience. Make sure you get in touch with them if you're flying out to Dallas this year. I'd like to thank Paul, thank Graham, and the return of the Mac, Mr. Richard Jones himself. We are UK's Cowboys. Make sure and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Am I forgetting anywhere, folks?
YouTube,
podcasts. I think we're available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all of those usual
and
formats
Spotify,
that you can get us on. Spotify. There we go.
We are everywhere now. Jeez Louise. All the places, all the time. Like I take away a couple of ones and come back. I'm like, this guy's gone, that guy's gone. We got sponsorship now. We're everywhere. It's like, Jesus, you've been busy.
Well, think about it, Richard. Every time we do have a meet-up or go to Wembley, we always come out in force. So,
yeah, but it was nice. It was kind of nice when it happened, just in the background when it wasn't all everything front and center. Everyone just came out of the woodwork. It's like, yeah, we're all here. Don't forget.
I even heard the rumor that MySpace are coming back so they can host our content.
Damn right there. We're getting MySpace back. We're getting
Bebo.